What is an example of pure evil? Joseph Fritzl, based in Amstetten, Austria, held his daughter captive for 24 years. During this time he assaulted her, sexually abused, and raped her numerous times during her imprisonment inside a concealed area in the cellar of the family home. The abuse resulted in 7 children. 3 remained in captivity with their mother, 1 died shortly after birth, and the other 3 raised by him and his wife Rosemary. Some guy in the 80s, who worked in a lab, injected his infant son with HIV-infected blood so his son would die a horrible death, and he wouldn't have to pay child support. Edit. 1992, not 80s. Lawrence Singleton. What he did to 15-year-old Mary Vincent is one of the most fucked up things I've ever heard. He picked her up as she was hitchhiking. When he pulled over to pee, she got out of the van to tie her shoelaces. He whacked her over the head with a shovel, put her into the back of the van, raped her all night, then cut off both of her arms, and threw her off a cliff, 30 ft drop, and drove off. Despite this, she survived. 15-year-old Mary Vincent managed to climb back up the cliff, and started walking. Eventually a couple on their honeymoon drove past her, and rescued her. This isn't even the tip of the iceberg with Larry Singleton. The podcast, My Favorite Murder, did a brilliant episode on him. He was a cruel bastard, and I'm happy he died of brain cancer. Removed the murder of Junco Furuta. Sick pieces of shit. They are still roaming free to this day. Search at your own risk, it's absolutely horrific. People who torture animals to make videos, and people who get off on that. Crystal Scott, 19, of Kokomo was the bitch, who was arrested in 2020 for distributing animal-crushing videos. https://n.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/murder of Gabriel Fernandez. I posted this on another Reddit thread a few weeks ago. Read at your own risk, but some of the more shocking elements. This poor 8-year-old boy was tortured to death by his parents, mom and stepdad, because they believed he was gay. He was often locked in a box at the foot of their bed for days at a time. They starved him, beat him, broke his bones, burned him with cigarettes, forced him to urinate/defecate on himself by depriving access to a toilet, and then punished him for it. Forced him to sit in freezing cold baths to reduce visible bruises. Lied to social workers, and said he was visiting family when he was actually bound and gagged and locked in the box in their bedroom. At his autopsy, the ME found BBs from a BB gun lodged in his testicle and face. They also found cat litter in his stomach, and it was later revealed by a sibling that Gabriel was responsible for cleaning the litter boxes for the mom's 7 cats. If the parents found feces in the boxes after he was supposed to have cleaned them, he was made to eat it. They made him eat spoiled food, and if he threw up they forced him to eat his own vomit. The worst part is, he only lived with them for 8 months. He lived the first 7 years of his life with the mom's uncle and his partner in Mexico. Mom took him back because 2 gay men are not appropriate caregivers for a young boy. Not my words, was in the Netflix doc, and because they wanted to receive welfare benefits for him. So this poor kid, who was happy and raised with love for 7 years, gets suddenly yanked away from the only home he's ever known, and then tortured to death. This is pure fucking evil. I hope the stepdaddy got initiated into the Rosebud Club his first 15 minutes in prison. That's Sylvia Lycan's story. I honestly felt like less of a human after reading it. I never thought a Wikipedia article could make me cry so damn hard, but it was like every line just kept getting worse. https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/murder of Sylvia Lycan's an essay giving out free samples of formula in Africa. The samples lasted just long enough for the women to stop producing breast milk, meaning these poor African women now had to buy expensive formula for their children to keep them alive. Murder of Kellyanne Bates. I won't go into the details as it is very gruesome, but know that some consider her to be the most tortured victim. Her boyfriend tortured her over a period of 4+ weeks. https://n.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/murder of Kellyanne Bates. Warning. Not for the faint of heart. The people who pressured a 14-year-old Japanese teen to kill herself on stream child sex trafficking, removed Unit 731. A secret biological and chemical warfare research unit of the Imperial Japanese Army that undertook lethal human experimentation during World War II. Some particularly brutal experiments performed on prisoners included frostbite testing, intentional syphilis infection, live target weapon testing, forced pregnancy from rape, bacteriological experiments on children, vivisection, surgery conducted for experimental purposes on a living organism, in this case, without anesthesia. Read here, https://n.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/unit 731. For anyone with the will to listen to such atrocities, I recommend Junco podcast #133, https://youtube.b/mismxtwdf4. The Horrors of Unit 731. Edit. A few people below have mentioned a movie based on Unit 731 called *Men Behind the Sun*. Edit. Definition of vivisection. Chris Watts. Colorado father, who strangled his 34-year-old pregnant wife, then killed his 3- and 4-year-old daughters, and dumped their bodies in oil tanks. He did this to get rid of obstacles that prevented him from being with his lover. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes and comments. I had no idea there was a Netflix documentary and YouTube videos on this case. I don't think I have the stomach to watch those. I just remember watching the news coverage at the time and feeling sick to my stomach for those poor little girls and their pregnant mother. There's a lot of evil in the world, but it's one of the ones I can't forget. Nanjing Massacre. The rape of Nanjing. Oscar Gerlanger. A Nazi so evil even the Nazis thought he went too far. Look up some of the atrocities he committed during WW2, specifically the Warsaw Uprising. Basically a sadist alcoholic pedo unleashed in a war without rules. The medical experiments done in concentration camps during WW2. Taking advantage of the innocent and weak, i.e. children and animals, torturing helpless animals, children, and / or the elderly. There is a special place in hell for these kinds of people skinning animals alive. Child molestation and severe physical torture used solely for emotional pleasure. That one story of those Yakuza boys torturing that one girl. Junco. Something. I'll have to look it up later, but the details are honestly gut-wrenching. Edit. The name is Junco Furuta. Meant no disrespect by not remembering, just genuinely forgot with all the other stories I've read. Just goes to show you how much fucked up shit is really out there. Listening to Salad Days and Panzermensch while you kill your old friends and classmates with an AR-15. People who knowingly spread STD and other viruses. Richard Ramirez. Rather than an example, I've always thought that evil was knowing something was very wrong, but doing it anyway. When I was 19 and depressed, I lived with a group of guys I considered my little weirdo family. One of the guys, the one I trusted the least, and wasn't sure what exactly was off, tortured my kitten, and then lied about it. I moved out the next day, a friend told me the truth about what he had done to my cat. I still don't know why she didn't take the cat and fucking leave, or call me to come home. What a pussy she was. The same guy plus another mutual friend murdered a homeless man in our city the following week. Like, brutally murdered. The SWAT team busted in the apartment I had just left. Luckily I missed out on the drama other than my cat being put down. Really taught me about my lack of judgment. I had also just purchased what I thought was a sweet-ass Halloween time shower curtain, complete with blood splatter and handprints, before I realized I was living with literal American psychos. Super strange feeling.